It's the last episode of the year.
It's the end of the year.
I'm sad.
Happy 2024, everyone. It's been nice knowing you.
It's been nice knowing you in this format of the Fake Racers
Happy
podcast.
Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Sorry.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Davey.
holidays.
Come on.
I accept all forms. I know that you're just wishing me a good end of the year, regardless.
Finish the year strong.
Everyone's Spotify Wrapped is going to be coming out soon.
Oh wow!
So hopefully, all you weirdos that listen to Kanye got him out of your top 5, so no one has to see that embarrassing bullshit. Not me, but someone does.
I feel like I know what my top 5
tell
is
you
going to
what.
be.
I don't know what my top 5 is going to be because it's always like, I don't know how you guys are, but I go through phases of music throughout the year. So like, right now we're starting to move into our like more rocky phase, like rock music, indie rock phase of the year. Will be
not music made with rocks.
Right. Well, I mean, it could.
Or music from the soundtrack of Rocky.
Yeah.
Right.
But so I'm like in that phase until this like February or so, and then we like get a little poppy, and then over the summer it gets a little more folksy country, and then it's just that cycle.
Mine isn't that linear. I dove into a lot of new music this year. I've always been a hip hop head. I started getting very heavy into R&B like last year, and that carried into this year. That's probably going to be a mainstay anymore. I had like my folk thing kind of happening on and off throughout the last few years, but it went really heavy with Noah Khan this year, which Joe also got into. You're welcome, Joe. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Got into country a little bit. Didn't expect that one. I also have like a dirt bag like punk playlist, which is just it. For some reason, it's just a lot. It's just only like Australian punk music. For some reason,
a lot of
it's
the chats.
all that.
The chat.
Yes. Like literally, like 3 of the songs are from the chats in that playlist.
Just leave me
alone. And like, I think because I went to like the so I think I went on the Smoko song and I like opened like played like a song radio, like the playlist. It's like songs that are like related to it. And I think that's why I only got Australian punk songs.
Probably.
But I have a whole playlist that's just Australian punk now, which also rules. But yeah, I'm excited.
To the album High Risk Behavior. It's a great time. So
hell yeah, it's good stuff. It's like out of the box, like for me for sure. But I loved it. Sorry for swearing so much.
That's okay. I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
Did you say something?
Nope.
It's funny. I was refraining from saying one of their album titles because of that.
Yeah, we can't swear. I think it's like YouTube doesn't like it when you swear in the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
It's something like I've listened to like some long form podcasts on YouTube or like long form videos, and like the first 10 minutes they'll bleep out like all the curses, and then like the 10:01 mark hits and they don't care anymore. Because YouTube's algorithm is wonderful.
Yeah. But my Spotify Wrapped, I'm excited to see what the hell I got up to. I always pride myself on like when it says like how many new artists you listen to. Like that year. I don't think I've been below like 2,000 yet. So we're rocking with it. And I've listened to so much new music this year. There's no way I'm below that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
a lot of pop this year.
I'm a music nerd.
Like a lot.
A punk?
Pup. They're a pop punk band. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so I was kind of right.
All of their albums are great.
Pup? P-U-P?
Yeah. What does it stand for again? It's like Pathetic Use of Potential or something like that. Is what it stands for.
Can you send me a link, please?
Yeah, I'll send you all their stuff. It's all really
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, Pathetic Use of Potential is what their band name is.
It sounds like fun.
Yeah, they're like what's the word? Like anthemic existential depression kind of. Where
Nice.
it's like everything sucks, but I don't care, and I'm just gonna wail on my guitar for a little bit.
Yeah. That's healthy.
I get it. I totally get it.
It's also here real quick before we get too deep into the show. We didn't talk about it last week. It is Movember for men's mental health. Boys out there, take care of yourself.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Seasonal depression is going to hit, and everyone's going to be sad. Maybe your football team sucks. Maybe your footy team sucks. Maybe your sports aren't going well, so you don't have that in your life. Maybe the old ball and chains asking you to pick up leaves in the yard or something. I don't know. I don't know.
The ball and chain.
I don't know.
God.
But take care of yourself. Also, don't shave. No shave November.
Oh, that's a problem too, because my mustache is irritating me now.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to trim because
you're allowed to trim.
Mustache. Yeah,
my opinion, you're allowed to trim, like, because you still gotta look professional. You don't want to look like crazy, but like you still grow it out is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got the mustache gang. We're a little patchy here, or whatever, but we're gonna keep that strong. But yeah, take care of yourselves, guys out there, and everyone out there really. But
talk to your friends, even if they,
or don't.
Even if they're dumb.
I mean, you can do what I do and just don't and ball everything up inside. But that's okay because I get this podcast every week.
Joe, that was like when the comedian gets on stage and he says some like horrible stuff, but the point of his material is like you're supposed to not be like him, and so you just did that.
Exactly.
You just became Bill Burr, basically.
Thank you. One of my idols, actually.
Oh,
I don't think he's done anything terrible about him's come out. Maybe, I don't know.
I think his. God.
Go ahead.
Not to get too deep into it, but I'm pretty sure there was a video I saw recently of him and his wife gave Donald Trump with a double bird at the last UFC event.
Cool.
Which was a funny video.
That's baller. Listen, that's no matter what. Hey, if you can flip off a politician, no matter what side of the aisle you stand on, that's cool.
It's pretty funny.
Because they all make way more money than any of us ever will, and for what reason, nobody knows.
I was gonna say Bill Burr is just indiscriminately an asshole to everyone, so it's okay.
It's okay, exactly, exactly.
That's why we love him. If you've never seen the Philadelphia incident, go watch it. It's fantastic.
I have. Listen to the whole thing.
It's so good.
This is our wrap-up episode for the year, so we're gonna go through. We're gonna rank drivers in the Cup Series this year. We're not gonna pull in Xfinity guys, except for a select few that made a handful of starts. So yeah, do you guys want to get into it?
It'd be funny if we did one for trucks and then be like, "Who's this guy?" Like Googling each driver.
We would not be able to use pictures because I wouldn't know.
What do the Gray brothers look like?
So when we switch it, let's the magic of video editing, and
look at that.
Big thank you to Davey. We're gonna post this tier maker. We'd love for you to rank the drivers and
I'll tweet it.
Tweet at us at fakeracers on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But we're gonna go through from lowest in points to highest in points. You see all the drivers there. It might be hard to see them, but well, audio listeners don't care because you don't see any of this. We're just going to tell you where we rank these guys. And we didn't talk about this beforehand, but we're going to rank them within the grades too, right?
Yeah.
Like
we'll put them in order.
Okay. All right. So let's start with the one and only Josh Berry. Of course, we're only looking at Cup Series, although I don't know with Berry if you want to talk about Xfinity, but he was a fill-in driver for Chase Elliott, was a fill-in driver for Alex Bowman, and then also ran a couple races after Noah Gragson was suspended.
And he's taking over the 4-car next year. Yeah. Basically, real quick, I just put in drivers who made significant starts and or will be returning next year for sure. And Josh Berry falls into that.
Yes.
So, man, what a hard one to start off with. He wasn't fantastic in his Cup starts, to be honest.
He finished second at Richmond.
Yeah, I've got it. I was gonna say I've got his results pulled up, and there's a couple good finishes in there, but for the most part, he was just kind of in the 20s.
So
which is not what we expected.
When you think of the car that he was in Chase Elliott's car for a lot of starts, and then Alex Bowman. Bowman was kind of in that 15 to 20 range most of the year. I don't know how much of that was his back. I think that was a larger story that went under the radar. It's hard to come back from a broken back. Look at how much Denny Hamlin struggled the year after he broke his back. Also, Chase Elliott, the 9 team, they were just off this year.
Not when they came back though. They had probably top 5 stats in most categories. Once he returned.
mhm.
Again, that's not to say that they were flying
Right.
when they started the year, but
They weren't a
they were not bad. They were not 20th.
caliber
They were not a
team.
20th place car.
Yeah. But they weren't the championship. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, we went from Chase Elliott to Josh Berry. We were going to get 10 wins this year, and now we're getting 0. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So
there was definitely
hard.
a drop off in performance, but at the same time, he's a substitute driver, and he never ran more than 3 races in a row, so it's kind of hard to build up any chemistry or momentum when you're doing that. So
how much was he clued in on things too? Because it was pretty much this deal with Stuart Haas was going on in the off season, so you'd have to think internally they kind of knew this was something that might happen.
Yeah. So
I
forgot about his 2 starts for Legacy as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How was that one?
I got him at the bottom end of C tier personally.
Yeah,
but
that's
he has the most room to go up or down, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He has a lot of space to move around in because I do think he's a very good race car driver.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's just going to need the reps.
Fair. That's probably where I would have put him too. So, because there were a couple good runs. I'm looking right now, top 10s at Phoenix and Dover, 2nd place at Richmond, but outside of that, just kind of invisible. So, but
which I think is what you wanted from him, though.
Yeah, in the end of the day, you put somebody in a replacement car for a few races, and they get 3 top 10s for you. Like it's
not
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah,
he didn't hinder their chances of making the owners' playoffs. They were in the owners' points playoffs this year. They made it to the round of 8 with the 9 teams, so he's part of that.
Yep.
So yeah. Next one up, Zane Smith. Zane was in it was the weird thing in the offseason where all of a sudden he was in the car for a couple of races for Todd Gilliland. Nothing real memorable coming to mind.
No.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, the person he shared the car with, Todd Gilliland, you could almost say the same.
I still think Todd was better though in his starts.
I think he was better, but Todd had more standout performances. Last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Todd had 3 top 10s in the first quarter of the season, and then really nothing until Martinsville. Zane's highlights 13th in the 500 in his 1 start for Colleague, or in the 36. Not Colleague. I'm thinking of Chandler Smith.
Yeah.
Top 10 at Charlotte in the 38. Outside of that, though, he has 1 top 30. So.
Yeah, I don't think we can put him anywhere other than D tier, but
yeah.
No. And we'll kind of see where he falls, but yeah, I think that's fair.
And that's not necessarily a criticism on his driving, more of just the results of him in the team. So
he'll of course be racing in the 3rd Spire car next year. I don't know if they've announced number or anything about the team.
I don't think they've announced the number yet.
I would assume it's going to be 07.
I don't remember seeing it on the team chart. So
yeah. So and he's of course got the development deal with Trackhouse, so he's kind of in that pipeline. He's in the Chevy pipeline now. He's out of the Ford pipeline.
Yep.
Actually,
before we move on, I was going to say I wanted to talk a little bit about my theory of why Ford is letting Zane Smith go, because it was weird how he seemed. We talked about how Ford kind of doesn't have anybody in the pipeline, and Zane Smith is a stud.
Yes,
you can look at how he's done in the Truck Series over the last 3 or 4 years and be like, this guy's going to be a star. And there was, we talked about earlier in the year how the writing seemed on the wall that maybe Todd was going to be out and Zane was going to be the guy to replace him. I almost think that, because if you look at the 38 truck, their sponsors are basically all of the sponsors that are on the 34 Cup car.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost thinking that Front Row was kind of looking at their driver lineup, and they don't have any funding for Zane. So their idea was, let's get him in one of our Cup cars and get him out there and see if we can get somebody to jump on board for a 3rd team. But that ended up not working out, which is why they're sticking with Todd, I feel like.
Yeah.
So.
He does have some funding. That MRC Construction, I think it is, company. I don't know what tie there is there, but he has some funding. Remember he was rumored to be in the one car when Kurt Busch was leaving Ganassi.
That's
Yeah.
right. Oh my god,
So
I forgot about that.
he's been destined for Cup Series racing for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's going to be about if this is the right fit for him going forward. There's rumblings that he was getting a little apathetic there at the end of the year once he knew he was going to Cup. His performance really dropped off in those last 4 truck races, albeit there were some team. I think something happened at Homestead. They got disqualified. They
I forgot.
blew up at Dega or in one of the other races in that round of the playoffs. So they struggled to say the least, and it kind of derailed his shot at going back to back, but in the trucks. But just solely looking at the Cup Series, D.
Man, I really did not expect to spend that long on Zane Smith.
I didn't either.
I just wanted to I knew I'd be mad if I forgot to bring that up.
I mean that was good.
Let's
but
talk.
Someone who I think we can spend a little bit of time on actually coming up.
Oh man, talk about a tale of Carson Hocevar. He looks like Two-Face, by the way. And this isn't like a Two-Face like he's an ass, right? He's not. He doesn't seem like he's an asshole.
No.
But on the track, we have seen 2 different Carson Hocevars this year.
Mm-hmm.
Throw the truck stuff out of the way. Most of his starts in the 42, he did really well. He did better than Noah did in that car all year, right?
Oh yeah.
He's kind of putting the work to Eric Jones. Sorry to say it.
He was.
Joe.
No, he was. He was for a little bit there, but then Eric stepped it up in the last 4 or 5 races, so deal with it.
Yeah.
When you're better 30 of 36 weeks, I think it's okay to have a little slump there compared to your teammate. But Hocevar did really well in his Cup starts.
He did. It was. I was genuinely surprised. I knew he was a good race car driver. I didn't expect him to run as well as he did in the Cup Series, especially with the minimal Xfinity experience he has. That's not to say that again, this isn't speaking directly on the correlations between the cars, just the experience you get in racing in that series and racing in longer races, which I do think we saw his lack of experience in longer races hurt him, as he didn't often finish where he ran. He very often ran higher than he finished.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's another one he's coming to Cup next year, and had great showings in the 42 car, and like you said, like outperformed Noah Gragson by a long shot.
Yeah. So I've got the numbers pulled up here. So Noah ran 21 races and had 2 top 20 finishes. Carson ran, 8 races and had 5 top 20 finishes.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if they all of a sudden got more support at the end of the year. I highly doubt that. Because part of this whole deal with putting Carson in the car was to help get him ready for next year. It was kind of something they worked out with Chevy and Spire, it sounds like. Because obviously Legacy's switching to Toyota. And it's also, we talk about Noah Gragson here too, because he's next on our list. Horrendous year for the driver.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Obviously, the suspension after Indy going into Michigan. I don't know what he was thinking, but whatever. Talk about like just shooting yourself in the foot. It was a good opportunity, especially with them switching over to Toyota. There were rumblings halfway through the year before that suspension happened that he was going to he was going to be canned anyways. Because of how poor they were performing. They brought in his crew chief too. They brought in Luke Lambert to be his crew chief this year, and that didn't work, and doesn't sound like Luke Lambert's going to be back with Legacy because they just announced Ben Bayshore is going to be on top of the box for John Hunter next year in the 42. So Carson Hocevar, though, if we go back to Carson and how well he did, I feel like he's C, maybe back half a B. I
almost was willing to give him back half a B just because that car, I do think they got better, but that car was not good, and he was running really well in it. I'm gonna put him top half a C, but he I mean, his ceiling is unbelievable.
He made an argument. Yeah.
Not
did.
to mention his one start in the Spire 7, he was running like top 15 before he had the brake failure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's almost like Carson Hocevar is made to drive a NASCAR next gen car.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little scary. But if they can, if he can have a couple top 20s this, or if he can maybe have 10 top 20s this year with Spire, depending on how they're building, and, let's say 3 or 4 top 5 or top 10s rather, sprinkle in a top 5 or 2, and I think that's a stellar season going into 2024.
Yeah, give him the right leadership and guidance, and he's going to be a phenomenal Cup Series driver for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And then Noah Gragson, again,
We touched on it.
we talked about it. He was terrible. He's
You
F.
can't put him above. Yeah, you can't
No,
put
he's
him above
F.
F.
Go ahead.
My other theory, and this will be my last one, because
No, I like the
Noah
theories.
Gragson's a Chevy guy, and we've known Legacy's going to Toyota. I thought this whole time that he was supposed to go to Colleague next year, and that's why Colleague is such a mess right now. Is their plans got blown up by Noah grenading his career?
But he's failing upwards because he's going to SHR.
Yeah.
Which is the rumor.
Yeah.
We still don't know
Let's
who's
be
going to be in the 10 car.
Let's be careful about failing upwards. That organization isn't exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't exactly have a lot going for it either.
It's still a 4-charter
There's-
organization in the NASCAR Cup Series.
There's a lot of potential at SHR,
Yes.
but yeah, there's a lot of problems there too. So
There's a higher ceiling at SHR than there
Yeah.
is
For sure.
Colleague. I don't know about Legacy, but Colleague, right?
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know if Noah, or I'm trying to think of which one would be the more realistic option. Would be him going to the 16 Cup car, or the 16 Xfinity car, or the 10 Xfinity car for Colleague. But I feel like that's what was going to happen, which is why they're going for Ty Dillon now.
Yeah.
So,
Who's next on our list?
Yeah.
Corey LaJoy did so good in Spire equipment. Ty Dillon, I don't even know if he existed this year. His numbers were on par with what he did last year with Legacy. Maybe a little bit better. I don't know. Feel like he's
Just dire.
he's kind of in the F
Yeah.
tier, just because I didn't know he was on track most weeks.
Here's the real
Yeah.
debate: ahead or behind of Gragson?
Ahead,
hey, he had more top
Woo.
20s.
ahead.
Woo!
I put him ahead. I don't care.
Woo!
He had a best finish of 11.
I don't
I've-
disagree. I just, man, that is.
I think by the by the
Damning.
end of this, the driver with the initials NG is gonna probably be last.
It's going to be close. So.
Woo.
Because here's
I do
another
know-
guy that's gonna enter the chat here, Harrison Burton.
Oh yeah. I really wanted to work out for him, but man, he's not getting it. He's not making it happen.
No.
I don't know what they stepped up in those last 5 races. They were better. It's hard to be worse.
Swear every time they say his job's on the line, he like
Just goes out and gets top 15.
they just need to apply pressure to him all season or something, man. Because like anytime he's anytime he's like in discussion in people's mouths about not being good enough, bro just pulls out a performance like no other.
I was going to say, it feels really weird to quantify this, but he had 12 top 20s. That's a third of the races, and it
Yeah.
does not feel like that. A lot of them were 20ths, but still. Couple
how
top
many?
10s.
How many? Let's do. How many did Austin Cindric have?
Oh,
Oh god, that's not
let's see.
good.
Because
That's not good.
when we get to him, I got a take and a half for you.
Oh, I got one too. I'm sure we won't be far off.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Just barely more.
So Cindric had 2 more
Yeah.
In the
in
2 car.
better equipment.
Yeah.
But it's a Penske car.
I think the biggest problem with Harrison Burton is not that he is running poorly, it's that he's getting into trouble a lot.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Because there
That's
are
true.
solid runs mixed in there, but they're mixed in with a lot of spins and just like weird incidents, and
How
People
does
have
he
been
get
making
into
a
so
lot-
many wrecks?
people
was
have been making a
never-
lot of jokes about him plowing into wrecks a lot.
He never did that in the other series, did he? Or am I just remembering wrong?
I don't think so.
Like what
I mean,
happened? Because
The thing with him is he struggled in trucks, and then he was
Yeah.
better in Xfinity. And this car,
Yeah.
we keep hearing it drives more like a truck.
yeah, that's just weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird that there's no correlation to him wrecking cars up in other series
Now
as
he
much as he does in the Cup
wrecks.
Series.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to deal with the fact eventually that Austin Cindric and Harrison Burton, the two guys who are basically responsible for Matt DiBenedetto not being in the Cup Series, have run significantly worse than Matt ever did.
Yeah.
But Matt was just
I know.
blindsided. He was blindsided by that
Who
news.
could have seen that coming?
Who could have seen that coming?
Obviously, I know why he's not in Cup, but it is really funny to look back at that in hindsight and be like, man, yeah.
Where do we put Harrison?
Man, he is in between F and D for me.
I'm gonna put. I'm gonna put him in D, but behind
He is
Zane.
probably the bottom of D.
He is the bottom
Yeah.
of D.
We can always change it later, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about failed expectations. Chase Briscoe.
But on this year, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. He was an F. He was the slowest SHR car by far.
He was running
all
33rd most races at one point or another.
Awful.
I remember at
Genuinely
Auto Club last year he dominated, and this year they were like 35th on pace.
They went a lap down within the first
abysmal.
30 laps of the race.
Yeah, Chase Briscoe will be top of F tier for me. Because it's not like he's a bad race car driver, but that whole team, driver, crew chief, everyone behind that 14 car failed. They failed.
This is all you need to know about their season. They had 4 top 5s, and they finished 30th in points.
Well, they also had a massive points penalty because they
really
put a show car piece on the 600 car, and then they were putzing around in 35th, and then they got a 100-point penalty.
It was 100 points, I believe.
Yeah,
what they got.
Yep.
So that would have put them 25th.
Yeah, no, not much better. And again, SHR car, they are one of the 2 cars that was fully funded too.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
No, that was bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was good job, guys. Austin Dillon. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the thing that makes it an F is the fact that we've seen it out of Chase Briscoe too.
Yep.
We know he's a better race car driver.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
We know he has the chops, the experience, the talent to be the best SHR driver, and he was the worst by a far margin most weekends.
Yep.
It is a failure on that whole team.
Yep.
Austin Dillon.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a mess.
He regressed this year, dare I say.
Yeah, there was speed, but they didn't finish any races. Which
he was so bad he was accusing people of intentionally wrecking him.
Yeah,
multiple times.
That's the thing that definitely drops him down the rankings too. Is just how messy this year was. Like,
I put him ahead of Zane, but he's not very high up in D.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that again, just a severe regression for whatever reason. I don't know if it was just because Kyle Busch was there to make him look bad, or if he was actually worse. But it felt like that 3 team was not where it needed to be.
Kyle won the same amount of races as Reddick did last year, so
yeah. And I mean, the last 3 years, Austin's been a fringe top 10 driver like the whole time.
Yeah.
And then this year they were, again,
they had like 2 or 3 races.
29th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd Gilliland. We kind of touched on him already. A couple decent runs first couple weeks of the year, and then Zane got in the car, and it felt like they kind of lost their mojo that they had going at the start of the year.
It's really hard to continue meshing with your team when you're not running with that team full time.
Yeah.
He gets a little bit of a break from me there.
He did well in his Rick Ware starts compared to Rick Ware racing.
Yeah, a couple top 25s.
Yeah, Todd might be top of D only because Michael McDowell ran as well as he did.
Yeah,
as his teammate.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
there's always been a discrepancy between the 2 front row cars, but the driver swaps I feel like really hurt them this year.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Eric Jones.
Joe, I tell you what, Joe. If it weren't for the playoff, if it weren't for like the last half of the season, Eric Jones would be an F, Bubba.
I'm recusing myself.
No, go ahead. Let's hear it.
I would put Eric Jones above Hocevar, but he's not gonna be. He's gonna be back half a C by the end of this thing.
I don't disagree with that because he overall, I think, performed just as good, if not slightly better than Hocevar, purely because of his experience. And
That last lap at Atlanta in the spring too. Going from 20th to 8th. Come on.
That was nuts.
That was amazing. Hey, Eric Jones, when he turns it on, man, he turns it on.
Yeah.
But
When it's not going, it's not going though.
He kind of grab that team by the balls and really drug them up the leaderboards in that second half of the year when they started running better. I think he probably had something to do with that because he's an experienced race car driver who has gotten it done on some of our toughest racetracks, Darlington, twice. I don't disagree with you at all. He's probably back half a C just because of how bad the beginning of the season was, but he is ahead of Hocevar.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I'd say so. It was a lot of highs and lows. I mean, they were so fast last year, and their problem was not being able to finish races. And then this year, it seemed like it was the other way, where they had no speed, but they could
finish
claw top 20s out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So then, hopefully, this year they can put it all together. Oh wait, they're switching makes. Woo! Hashtag Eric Jones will never race for the same team twice ever again.
It is really funny looking at his Wikipedia page because the last 4 years his teams are Joe Gibbs Racing, Richard Petty Motorsports, Petty GMS Motorsports, Legacy Motor Club. Like, it's just changing names every year.
So this is a video I really want to make, and I'm gauging the audience here. I am going to make a video about the constant rebuild that this team has been going through. Because now for 5 years, they have had major changes. You know, you go 2020 with Bubba Wallace, to 2021 with Eric Jones, to GMS buying in and being a 2-car organization, to the Jimmy Johnson thing, and Legacy coming in, and them just firing the entire leadership of the organization overnight, and putting new people in that, again, probably smart people, but inexperienced. I think that's fair. The guy that they hired to be the president quit after like a month and a half on the job at the start of the year. We're not talking about that because, I don't know. To now you're switching manufacturers.
Not to mention the driver turmoil this year.
In the other car, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. At least he had Dave Ellens all year, because Dave Ellens is a good crew chief. I don't care what anyone says. So,
all that Dave Ellens slander that I see on my timeline.
That's what I'm saying, man.
People got hot takes on Dave Ellens.
I'm telling you, this 43 team, if they just watch out. Just watch out. Darlington's the cutoff race for the playoffs this year. That's all I'm saying.
I'll be watching.
Toyota's good at Darlington. Guess who else is? Eric Jones. The 43 Toyota is going to look weird, though, to start next year. Justin Haley. He's, of course, moving to Rick Ware in the offseason. If the high was the Chicago street course, there are too many lows to talk about.
He finished 8th at Las Vegas?
Yeah.
And, you know, he really, like, at the end of last season, he put together a lot of really solid performances. That was like, you know, this team and this driver, they can make something happen next season. And then they just didn't.
Yeah, they had a run last year from Watkins Glen to Las Vegas where they finished outside the top 20 twice. And then, like, still, they had more top 10s this year, but they just, like, when they weren't finishing top 10, they weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, it's just definitely, this is another driver that experienced a heavy drop off. You know, outside of the Chicago race, I mean, really, you didn't see him all that often. I think, ran good at Bristol Dirt. But other than that, man.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of a single time I saw him on TV.
Where are we putting him
outside
then?
Of Chicago. I'd probably put him below Todd.
I was thinking even potentially below Dylan, but Dylan has better equipment. And I saw them on TV about the same amount.
Yeah, I'm going to put him ahead of Dylan.
And Dylan did not, without that penalty, does not finish very far ahead of Haley in points. So
no.
Whew.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So
Till
Haley.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
I was going to move on.
Oh, okay.
So, what were Haley,
I was
what?
just gonna say Haley stayed out of trouble more, but didn't have as many like strong runs.
Right.
Tale of two halves. Corey LaJoy, super strong first half. Then he had that one start in the 9 car, and it felt like they just again lost their mojo.
Yeah.
You can't discount the first
Time.
half of the year, but
Yeah, they really were not able to claw back the running order bar for super speedway races after that start in the 9 car. Looking at it here, his best finish was not at a super speedway. I think it was 14th at Chicago.
which
Again, that's
might
not
as
counting
well be a super
speedways.
speedway. With
Yeah,
how much of a
as far
crapshoot
as
that
like the
race was.
unpredictability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear this team's going somewhere. We were really impressed by Corey LaJoy's performances at the beginning of the season. Spire continues to claw their way up the ranks of NASCAR teams.
It
I see
feels
where
like
Joe's putting them, but where you got him at?
I was gonna say it feels like they didn't have as many like flashy runs as they've had in the previous years, but they were way more consistent.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Man, I don't know.
He's in C tier somewhere, right?
Yeah, he's in
For
C
sure.
tier.
He's not in B. We're not saying he did that great. But we're not saying like I feel like Corey LaJoy normally would be here.
Yeah.
In D, right? He'd be
Or
in,
tail end of C, yeah.
But if we're saying Eric Jones is in the back and Carson Hocevar are the back half of C, I feel like Corey LaJoy is at least in the middle.
I can agree. I can agree with either ahead of or just behind Jones.
Yeah,
All right, this one makes me happier. I just didn't want to do it myself.
Who could argue with that?
Oh boy, this next one. Oh boy.
Whew.
Okay,
All
there's
right.
sophomore
boy.
slumps, and then there are what Austin Cindric did this year. I don't know how you go from winning the Daytona 500, and last year it was a steady decline for the two team throughout the year, right? They went out, they won the 500, they won the pole at Auto Club, they had all this momentum, and then it just.
I mean, they were still a top 20 team. They were still a top 20 team the whole year. They had a strong summer from Sonoma,
An average finish
Atlanta
of
last year.
16th last year, which
Yeah.
really is better than I remember. It really is. That's really not bad.
This year, they were a non-factor. Their teammate won the championship. Their other teammate was at least competitive.
Yeah,
Goodness gracious. It was a nightmare season for Austin Cindric. I really don't. I mean, can you put him above D?
If Chase Briscoe, with what we know is happening at SHR, is an F, and we feel like there's a little more stability at Penske, I argue you put him in F because that was a failure of a year. It was a failure of a team. And I didn't see any markable improvements from Austin Cindric all year.
He hasn't even really been good on the road courses either, which is the weird thing. Like sixth at Chicago, but that's about it.
So
sixth at Coda as well. But
you can either argue that Harrison Burton has the same equipment and Austin Cindric had 2 more top 10s and put him ahead of Harrison, or you can say that Austin Cindric has way more resources and support because he is on the mothership and he is at the top of F. He still did better than Chase Briscoe by a lot.
I would put him in F, and that's mostly because with Harrison Burton, it's what I've talked about where like they might be getting equipment from Penske, but it's still Wood Brothers operating it, and they don't have the same amount of people and resources at
it's
operating the car every week.
It's full-fledged Penske now. Like Roger Penske decides who's in the 21 car.
Yeah. But there's also way higher expectations for Austin Cindric.
Exactly. There's more funding there. There's that car has to be better funded than the 21.
Yeah, and maybe we think of him differently if he doesn't win the Daytona 500 last year, but I mean, still, that was a huge drop off in performance this year.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, can't have that. I'm good with him in F.
Without the Daytona 500 win, they go from a fringe playoff team to barely cracking the top 25.
Yep. Ish, man.
Ryan Preece.
Oh boy, here we go.
SHR was awful. Ryan Preece had some good runs.
He did. Ran good at Bristol Dirt. Ran good at Martinsville, obviously. Almost won probably could have won the Clash if not for a mechanical thing.
Yep.
Which is what you expect from him. He's a short track guy. That's not necessarily doing anything out of the ordinary. Had the pace to be the second best SHR car all year. I think Eric Almirola's experience outdid Ryan Preece. As far as like in some of these races, especially Ryan Preece being out of a Cup car. Excuse me, last year. Man,
19 top 20s on this year, so more than half the season. But only converted 2 of them to top 10s. That's really solid. Really dependable. Didn't have as many highs as I feel like you would have wanted to see, but they also didn't finish a lot of races where they should have. It was a big problem for them.
I very much appreciate you saying that.
Because it's like what we've talked about with a bunch of guys. Like, we know Ryan Preece is a damn good race car driver.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of them putting it together.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Man. I made Joe put Eric Jones in that spot, so I should probably I probably have the floor here for Ryan Preece, don't I?
I was gonna say Ryan Preece, like, for first year back in the Cup car full time.
In the next gen.
He performed where we thought he would perform. He did okay where we were a little worried about him. I don't have like a lot of bad memories. I don't have a lot of memories in general.
Besides flipping his dick off at Daytona.
Yeah, well, that was scary.
Better than Cole Custer did last year. So,
by how much?
2 spots. But...
Okay.
I mean, I would stick him somewhere around C.
I would put him. I'd put him here for now, and then there's going to be people going ahead of him. But
probably, yeah. But he really could have went anywhere from there to even behind Corey LaJoie, and I wouldn't have been mad about it.
Yeah.
Those 3 are really hard to discern from each other in this.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because none of them won. None of them like almost won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Flash doesn't count.
On the SHR train.
Eric Almirola.
Retiring.
I feel like Almirola and Preece are just attached at the hip.
Yeah.
There's not much to say.
It always felt like they were running 25th and 26th.
Yeah, Ryan Preece had more speed and better runs, but Eric Almirola did once again, Eric Almirola line did not move from where he was meant to be. Like, just continued to put the car exactly in the same spot every single time.
You know what? Now that I look at it too, when I look at the standings, like,
he's literally going to be halfway.
Is perfect because everybody below him, we were like, man, that was kind of disappointing, and everybody above him were like, yeah, that was about what we expected.
Yeah.
This is literally going to work out like this. Is so
he is the measuring stick.
Yeah. Ryan Preece, you are the new measuring stick.
Thank goodness. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Hopefully he can improve, but that's fine.
AJ Allmendinger.
The Suarez index like I pitched last year.
I mean, we might be getting there.
Yeah.
Won himself a race, AJ Allmendinger.
He did. Reminded everyone that cup races are important, and it's okay to be emotional after winning them. Everyone else take note.
Thank goodness.
He's getting kicked out of this car for some reason.
Funding, I guess.
Yeah. Weird. Who knows?
I'm gonna put it. I want to put him in B. He'll be at the back half of it by the time we're done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But you win a race when I don't think anyone really thought they were gonna win a race because they were bad on the road courses all year. And
yeah, that's the weirdest part about it is they weren't really a factor on road courses this year.
And then they win the playoff one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I'll let. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like,
no worries.
You know, I think about AJ Allmendinger in that car, and I think about like who in that car could have done a better job, and I don't think like almost everyone we've talked about so far. I feel like someone else could have gotten the car at one point, did a really good job, and maybe outperformed the driver, even Ryan Preece. But AJ Allmendinger, I think he gets the most out of his equipment. I don't think you put another driver in that car at the Roval and they win. I think AJ Allmendinger is the only driver that could have won in that car, and I think that elevates him to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, 20 top 20s as well, 4 top 5s, including ones at Homestead and Atlanta. Like,
Yeah, turned it up. At the end of
his
the
is
year.
another one of those seasons that when you look at him in the standings, it's like, it's back to where he normally finished. But this was a stronger AJ Allmendinger, I feel like, than we've seen in years past.
Yeah, and a weaker colleague.
Yeah, especially with all the turmoil with Colleague right now, for them to run as well as they did, it says a lot. So,
Hey, good stuff. Alex Bowman, he broke his back.
This one's hard because he ran really well before. I mean, he was
he's leading the
championship
points
contender before that.
Yeah, for a penalty, and then the week their
broke his
penalty gets
back.
rescinded, he breaks his back, and even then they come back and they run great, and then they can't finish a damn race. As you heard me rant about several times this summer.
Yeah, and it's hard to recover. I mean, it's Denny Hamlin spoke about this. I think it's well documented. We talked about this at the top of the show. Alex Bowman, it's hard to recover from a back injury. It's hard to get the feeling back of the car after a back injury. You lose a lot of that. Bless you. I do think that this I think this offseason is going to do wonders for him.
Mm-hmm.
I put him in B. I put him behind Dinger just because of the second half of the season. But I would not be surprised to see him back half of A if he recovers fully from his back injury. Gets the actual time to recover.
Yeah, and like that was the thing too, is with it's Blake Harris is his crew chief, right? I'm trying to blank on his name right now.
Yep.
The whole
First
thing was
year.
like, look at what Michael McDowell's done with him, and then it looked like it was working. They got hurt. They still had speed, but like it was a lot of it was their fault. A lot of it was Alex, doing dumb stuff like at Darlington. Yeah, I think tail end of B, high C is definitely the place to be. So, or for him. So,
yeah,
disappointing year, but there was potential. So
I wanted to put him towards like top of C because he's expected to be the fourth Hendrick guy, right? That's his expectation. Now the fourth Hendrick guy should still make the playoffs and do all these things, and he didn't do that. And I know injury and all, but I don't know. I'd put him ahead of Almirola.
I would put him like very top of C at the lowest. Yeah,
I don't
or
anticipate
at
anybody
least
going
right there
ahead of
above
him in
Almirola.
C.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that then.
I think that's fair. So,
Daniel Suarez.
Did not have the season they wanted.
No.
Remarkably worse than last season.
Yes.
Started out great and then
yes.
Didn't really do anything after that.
Teammate won 2 races. Other part-time teammate, of course, won Chicago.
Yeah, it's really damning when you're not only worse than you were last year, but your teammate still goes out and win races.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bad look.
Yeah,
and I know Daniel Suarez is a better race car driver than he showed this year, but going out the performance for this year, he's middle of C for me.
He's got to be worried for his job. For me, he just hired Zane Smith. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much arguments to make there.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, on expectation, I put him behind Preacer Jones.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So,
Tyler
Again,
Gibbs.
Sorry. It's incredible to me. Daniel Suarez is so much better than that, but man, he sucked this year.
Yeah,
and they had strong runs. They just didn't string any of them together. I think was the biggest problem.
Mm.
So
no consistency.
Ty Gibbs.
Not as good as everyone said he was. Everyone tried to give him all the props in the world, but man, he's still just the spoiled little kid. I saw. I don't know if you guys saw these, but all the clips of people like showing the onboards over the course of like a few weeks, like the Logano and the Ty Gibbs onboards that led up to the Martinsville incident.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Gibbs drove Joey. I'm surprised he got as far as he did because Ty Gibbs was driving Joey Logano like an asshole for like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, I'm not joking. I'm surprised he got away with it until Martinsville because he was like, he borderline put him in the wall, like cutting the air off the nose, like early in the race and stuff. Anyway, my point is he's still showing signs of being a very immature race car driver. Obviously, he's talented. Obviously, he's fast. But
part of the reason no one's talking about it is because it's the Cup Series and he's not on TV every week like he was in the Xfinity Series.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think he goes right behind Alex Bowman personally because he didn't have a terrible year. For rookie seasons, it wasn't bad, but he's still got a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Got to win a race. You're in Gibbs' car, you got to win a race.
I think Cup Series experience from this year will help him next year.
Yeah. Well, he already had experience. Remember, he had like 15 races.
That's fair.
I think he had enough experience in the Cup car to have
I'll give you that.
won a race by the second half of the year. Chase Elliott.
We're getting to the interesting ones now.
This is the one where, again, we talked about they should be a championship competing team, and they were a playoff competing team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the penalty. It has everything to do with they could finish races. They weren't executing. We talked about the whole thing at Watkins Glen, where there was the spat on the radio and not talking to each other after the race and just not being good leaders of that team, him and his crew chief, Alan Gustafson.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know.
You look at when he comes back from his suspension as a 5th at Sonoma, 4th at Nashville, 3rd at Chicago, you seem like you're building to something, and then they kind of just go silent until Indy and Watkins Glen, and they missed both of those shots, too. I mean, they were a top 10 car on speed a lot, but when you put yourself in a 7-race hole, you have to win races, and you're not the defending champ, but Chase Elliott was the most consistent driver last year. He's a Cup champion. Like,
you're considered a contender every year.
Yeah, that's the difference in expectations between, say, him and Alex Bowman, his teammate. So we look at this year with Bowman, and we're like, oh, they'll bounce back. But for this year, it's like that was a failure.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I
broke his leg.
I do think there's a case for him being at the bottom of A tier, but I think B tier just because of the expectations.
Yeah.
And it would be top of B tier.
I wanted to put him in F. I wanted to get clickbait the heck out of this video.
If we were to factor in like Chase's demeanor and things like that, and his surprisingly shrinking fan support,
D.
Yeah,
I put
the fact that he was getting booed at Martinsville is really weird.
He got booed at Martinsville?
Yeah, a bunch of people in the USRL who were at Martinsville were saying that he got booed pretty loudly.
From who?
I don't know.
I have not experienced. I went to Cup races and I didn't experience that. That's interesting.
I mean, I booed him just because it's funny to get the looks. Like,
why
are you booing Chase Elliott? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll last long that he's down in B tier. I think he'll be back in A, contending for a championship or at least a Final Four again next year. But when you look at this year, that team knew what they had to do. They knew they had to go win races. It was a big topic of discussion. Can they point their way? And I don't think they ever thought that.
No, they didn't. The way they were racing, they never thought that.
Yeah, and they couldn't get it done. When their whole mission was to win races, they couldn't get it done. And so I do think B tier is fair. I'm not sure about behind AJ, but I'll allow it because it's Chase and it's funny.
You just didn't win a race, man. You got to win a race. You got to win a race, or you got to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, because we have a couple here that didn't win a race, but they made the playoffs, and there's arguments to be made about where they are going to fall here. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daytona 500 winner, really solid through like May, and then
back to Nowheresville.
Back to kind of what we thought they were.
And they really fell apart at the end of the year. They were demonstrably bad at the end of the year.
Don't know if maybe they were just trying things at the end of the year, knowing they were going to finish 16th in points.
It's a good point.
Maybe, yeah.
It's a good point.
I still think
this was Daytona 500.
And that means something. And I still think this was their best year as a team.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So I would put him ahead of AJ, and I'd put him in B.
Oh, good heavens. I would not do that. No. They were too bad at the end of the year.
Yeah. If they had kept up the pace that they had been running all year, I would be on what's the word I'm looking for? I'd be on board for that, but they definitely like you're saying, they fell apart.
Ahead of Gibbs is fine. Again, they just man, they were bad. They were
Yeah.
bad at the end of the year. It was not good.
Yeah.
It's also we should say that Ricky was better this year too. I mean, there's all the jokes about Ricky being reckless all the time. He genuinely drove really well this year.
Yes.
Yes.
So.
Agreed.
Props to that.
Michael McDowell. Indy win. Dominant win. Good speed. Most weeks.
Yeah.
Some weeks.
I feel like they weren't as fast as they were last year, but
They
they got the win when they needed it.
and they finished where they should finish more weeks, I feel like, this year than they did last year.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, they're hot. They hit a hot streak right before the playoffs. That was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Only
it had
8
people
top 10s.
second guessing their entire opinion on Michael McDowell.
Yeah.
Like,
Only 8 top 10s on the year, but a lot of top 20s. And I mean, I've been on record for saying that I think Michael McDowell's been really good the last few years. I just, we don't know how much front row has to really work with. Yeah, solid year. So
He's in B. Yeah.
I'd
man,
say so. I mean, can we say that he was worse than AJ Allmendinger? Pretty similar seasons, so
I feel like similar expectations.
yeah.
No, that's a good
He
point.
just got his win earlier, so
Yeah.
It makes it look a lot
boosts
better.
him in the points.
Yeah.
He is next to AJ. Whether he's ahead or behind, I don't care. But he's
I'm
next
putting
to
him
AJ.
ahead. Yeah. Here's one.
Yeah, I'm looking back now. He had, I mean, very decent season.
Mm.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. Kyle Busch.
Whoa.
This is the tale
earned
of
the
two
heck out
halves.
of 2 wins this year. Earned the heck out of the Auto Club and the Gateway wins.
I mean, I tell you what, if we were doing first half gradings, he'd be probably top of A. We're doing second half. He ain't that far ahead of Austin Dillon. Like,
No.
Yeah, his first half of the season, Kyle Busch was my title favorite.
Yeah. He was
Oh, yeah.
Vegas's title favorite first half of the year,
Yeah.
too.
They just disappeared down the in the last 12 or 15 races of the season.
yeah, they had a couple crappy runs at Loudon, then Pocono, came back with a third at Richmond, and then got 2 top 10s until the Talladega playoff race, or until the Charlotte road course, where he finished third there in Vegas, and then 18th, 27th, 25th to round out the season.
Yeah.
It is RCR.
Wow.
He didn't do worse than Tyler Reddick did last year.
Yeah, he's definitely B tier. I think if they kept it up, he's A tier easily.
I think he's going to end up being
Top of
ahead-
B
he's-
tier, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's ahead of McDowell in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Kevin
What an interesting
Harvick.
season.
This one's tough. Oh my gosh.
If we compare him to his teammates, he's like S tier because
Yeah.
everyone but him sucked, and he still found a way to almost win.
He should have won.
Straight up, should have won Darlington.
Yeah.
when I was
Should have won
there.
Darlington,
in the
should have
fall.
won Daytona, should have won Talladega.
Man,
Let all of those get away.
which is that speaks to kind of like his season. That speaks to his grade because I mean he's the closer. You don't expect that from
Yeah.
him. He's supposed to be able to close these races out.
So we're putting him
I
in
would-
B somewhere.
I think you have to put him behind AJ because he didn't win a race.
But put him
Um,
ahead of Chase because the equipment was so much worse.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
I think if he did, even if he won a race and he didn't make it out of the round in the playoffs, like even if he got out of the playoffs and won a race, didn't make the playoffs and won a race, like I think he's A tier if he wins a race this season.
Yeah.
I think I'd put
Matt's
him ahead
cooking.
of McDowell, personally. Because I think Kevin Harvick was still like as good as he's ever been this year. I feel
I'm
like.
okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
The fact that they didn't win a race definitely hurts it, but I think on balance, Harvick was better than both of them this year.
Look at us just absolutely debating the heck out of each other. Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm sorry that we're all right all the time and
I
everyone
know.
else is wrong.
I know.
Or
Somebody's gonna comment,
Unimind
you just
is
get
always
along too
correct.
much.
Joey Slogano.
Not good.
Yeesh.
Defending champion went out with a whimper.
went out in the first round of the playoffs.
With a whimper.
This year I genuinely could not remember what race they won. until I just looked
Atlanta,
at it now,
because
and I was like, oh yeah.
Brad made a mistake, and I have not forgiven him for it.
I put him. I don't know. Yeah, because Penske looked like they were struggling for a good part of this year, but
They won the
Joey
championship.
friggin' Logano. You expect more.
Do we kind of put him in the same realm as Chase Elliott, where it, like, legally we can't put him in C tier?
Yeah, I think so, because I think they had similar seasons. Because you think about how their year goes, if they don't make that, if they don't win that race, then they're probably right on the playoff bubble with Bubba Wallace at Daytona. So
Yeah.
And I do think he will. I mean, I'm looking at his racing reference. Excuse me, good lord, racing reference right now. I mean, he willed a lot of good finishes into existence.
yeah,
But most of the time, he was not running there during the race.
Mhm.
I mean, they managed to find a way to finish those races, so I think that's fair.
And this is all compared to, again, expectations, reality, what we think, what they should be, those types of things. It's not necessarily like, oh man, he finished 12th in the points. He should be 12th on our list because he finished
Yeah.
12th in the points. Not like that.
Yep.
This next one's fun.
oh,
I have never seen a better first 26 races and a worst final 10 races. Not even final 10, 9 of final 10, because they ran great at Phoenix. But Martin Truex Jr.
This has got to be the first time the regular season champ didn't finish top 10 in points.
Oh my god!
They finished 11th in points.
Oh my god! I didn't realize that.
Shout out Bubba Wallace, top 10 finish in driver points.
Oh my god!
That
I mean,
that's
just
the
utter
the
capitulation.
Yeah, the playoff meltdown definitely casts a shadow over what was a fantastic season. Like, if we end the season at Daytona, like, Truex is S tier.
No. I'm sorry.
Really?
You have to perform when it matters, and that
Yeah.
team did not, and that is an understatement.
Maybe between McDowell and Harvick, I think. Because I think we got to consider the full season as well. But yeah, their late season collapse was pitiful. And like the fact that they still almost made the Final Four out of it is like ridiculous.
I would like everyone that hates the regular season championship thing and all the bonus points to also never complain about the playoff format ever again, because that carried him.
Just know that if this were my tier list, he'd be in C tier, because I'm sorry, you can't do that.
Yeah, but we can't put him there. He won.
No, I know, but I'm just saying my own tier list, he'd be down in C tier. You can't do. How are you?
Yeah.
How do you fail on so many levels, multiple weeks in a row, after being the best car of the season? You are the best car of the season, and you can't even get a top 10. You can't even get a top 15. No, I'm sorry.
And it's
My
not
tier
even
list,
like
C.
it's not even like in 2014 when Junior and Johnson's seasons went up in flames in the second round, where it was like nothing went right for them in those two races. They were still running great. Like Truex's team was a complete non-factor when they weren't blowing up engines or blowing tires and crashing or whatever.
It was a disaster.
Yeah.
It was a disaster. We're being very lenient with Martin Truex Jr. When Chase Elliott ran better than him. He ran just as good as him when he came back from his injury, and then ran better than him in the playoffs, and he's below him in the tier list.
Hey, you got to win races, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so does Martin Truex, and guess what he didn't fucking do in the playoffs?
But he did during the regular season.
Yeah.
Guess what he didn't do during the playoffs, though? Wouldn't get like a top 10.
Yeah, I think he did it once.
Yeah, he
Twice.
got it took
He
until
did it once. Let me
Vegas,
look up
they
Chase
got a
Elliott.
9th, and then finished
I have
6th
to
at
look up
Phoenix,
Chase
and it didn't
Elliott
really
now,
matter anymore.
because this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Davey's mad. It's funny.
I believe it.
Davey's getting mad about Martin Truex Jr. Imagine if we would have argued with him about Ryan Preece.
5 top 10s.
Yeah.
And ran like crap at the end of the playoffs. Probably still outscored Martin Truex Jr. Anyway.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace. They didn't win a race. They had race-winning speed. Probably performed
Much better year, though.
Yeah, probably perform better than what they did last year.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we talked about this towards the end of the summer, and it was like they have to make the playoffs. Like anything short of making the playoffs is a failure, and you start asking a lot of questions. They missed their shots at a lot of places. Talladega should have won that one. Richmond, the team let that one get away.
Yep.
And there was one other one that I'm drawing a blank on right now.
Michigan.
Oh, Texas.
Texas. Yes, Texas.
That's right. Yeah.
I forgot about that one, but that's, it's hard to win a cup race. I mean, we talk about this so much. A guy can win a cup race, but it's hard to become a contender after that, right? We look at how long it took Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson to reel off wins consistently. And this year, Bubba Wallace is getting closer and closer to that, And they finished top 10 in points, and they were great at the end of the playoffs. So, great season.
Yeah, and like really, decidedly improved in places that he needed improvement, like road courses.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, just overall, that team and the driver, they're doing such a good job getting better every season. I mean, visual, obvious improvement every single year. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah. And it's like what we talked about too is Bubba is becoming better at not being super hard on himself when things, out of their control don't go well. He and Booty Barker are just clicking so well, I feel like, as driver and crew chief.
Yeah.
So.
Unfortunately, he couldn't get a win.
Yeah.
Which you got to do, and he was in position. Sheesh, man, where do we put him?
This one's tough. I feel like without winning a race, I don't know if we can put him above B, but he's definitely high B. I feel like
he's ahead of Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I think
so.
Yeah,
I'd put him there.
Okay with that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right, I think we're getting to guys that we're gonna start
B for Bubba,
putting them up into A.
Where do you want to put Ross Chastain, Joe?
B.
There's another tale of 2 seasons because up until they won at Nashville,
the thing with
disappeared, and then
The thing with Ross is we don't know what was going on behind the scenes because I don't know how you change your driving style that much as he did without being told to change. I mean,
Big Daddy Rick Hendrick.
You had Justin Marks behind you, and then a few weeks later he was like, well, yeah, you should probably tame it down a little bit. It's almost like someone got in his ear and said, hey, Hal.
Yeah, and really, like, his playoffs were really good. I mean,
yeah.
Probably would have made it through that round he got knocked out of if not for a crash at Talladega. I think his struggles near the end of the season, starting in the playoffs specifically, were a little overstated. He did end up struggling after his win, of course, but been very well documented. We don't have to go through all that again.
Another guy that was leading the points at one point this year.
That's right. God, I forgot about that. But yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I know people love their theories, and I think there is a little bit of merit to it, but it's not unthinkable to have Justin Marks sit Ross down and be like, all right, look, we're throwing away a lot of races because they should have won way more than 2 races last year. They should have won way more than 2 races this year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it self-inflicted, a lot of it not their fault. But you need Ross is going to be Ross, but sometimes you need to reel that in a little bit. So
yeah. And I mean, you can't talk about enough how nice it is to end the season now on a big win like that over the championship 4, which hasn't been done before.
Even though nobody knew that he won the race. Blaney didn't even know that Ross won the race. He was going to get the checkered flag.
Yeah. It did it in, the most Ross way possible.
Yeah, well. Does he go into A or does he go to the top of B?
This one's tough.
Multiple races. Really strong. Albeit for a couple races in the playoffs.
He goes top of B, and I don't think he gets moved from there.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
not
I
for
think
a
that's
if
about
not for a pretty bleak midseason, I
Yeah.
think he's in the conversation with mid low
Yeah.
top of A just because he's that good.
They disappeared after their Nashville win, and if they keep up their form, I think it's easy to put them A tier.
Yep.
So
I
Fair
agree.
enough. All right, let's get into the RFK duo. Let's start with Brad. No wins. Made the round of 8.
much better year, obviously.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
goodness. Much better than understatement.
And like it's not just down to the team too, because Brad was a mess on track last year. Especially like the first 2 months, he was an absolute menace.
He didn't know what he was doing. He was
No.
like, "This is the worst car I've ever driven. What are we doing here?"
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, don't worry if RFK is bad at the Clash.
Yeah, true.
Didn't matter.
Really good season. Probably coulda, shoulda, woulda at the Daytona 500. That's a big one.
Yep.
Same thing
Yep.
with Atlanta.
That
A
Atlanta
lot
race
of-
that we talked about.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we
Richmond.
saw. Oh, I forgot about Richmond. Yeah.
Busher won, so it's
Um,
okay. But yeah, Richmond.
Yeah.
I
Daytona.
think expectations included. Not to jump too quick into a rating here. I think he's stuck to the hip with Bubba, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Question is above or below.
Joe is so pissed right now.
I'd put him above just because that team this year, we talked about playoffs or bust for Bubba. It felt like with RFK, we were like, can you finish top 20 more weeks than you don't?
Yeah, true. The
So-
Yeah, but
expectations
then
were definitely
Chris
lower.
Buescher went out and won a handful of races, and
I
Brad Keselowski couldn't.
Okay. All right. Let's hold our horses there just a little bit.
But did I say anything incorrect?
No, but you're neglecting some facts.
Like what?
Like Brad pushed Busher to the Daytona win. So there's that.
I'm trying to think of where that means Brad Keselowski won a race, and I can't think of it.
I mean, he technically won 3 races this year, just as an owner.
That is true, as car.
Oh my god!
I mean,
All right,
remember,
let's do team owner. If we do team owner grades, Brad can be an A tier. I'll
that's
give
what
you
I'm
that
saying.
one.
Yeah.
No, but he's not as far behind Chris Buescher as you're trying to make him out to be. It's just Buscher's team executed. And we can go to Buescher. Buscher's an A tier, 3 wins, round
Yeah,
of 8.
I mean, they were solid all year and then got hot when it mattered most. So I'm okay with A tier.
Chris Buescher's A tier.
Yeah.
Prosper, Texas
Yeah.
is so happy.
How many people live there?
3,000.
Um,
Or is it 30? Is it 3 or 30?
There's not a lot. It was very small.
Tyler Reddick.
I feel like I didn't see him as much this year, but he had a better year. You know?
he did.
Round of 8.
It was so
They
weird
had a
'cause
brutal 5-race stretch in the middle of the summer. I didn't
he
even
was
know that.
like a contender to win. Like you kind of like could count on Tyler Reddick being up at the front, but never enough to be like. And I made a mistake. Count on him being up the front. You couldn't count on him being necessarily a contender to win. You just knew he was going to be around there. You know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that speaks more to 2311 is still putting everything together. But really
Yeah.
good year for Tyler.
A little streaky.
Yeah. Do we put him A tier though? That's the tough thing.
1-2 races.
Yeah, same as Ross. 1 less than Kyle.
He's hovering here.
Yeah, I honestly I'd put him right around Ross. I think maybe top of B tier is probably the best. So
Yeah,
I feel like we expected a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Is there's expectations in Tyler Reddick with the Toyota team. I do think people thought he was going to be a little bit better, not by much. It's not to say the season was a failure. It's not like Austin Cindric, but like
Look at that F
definitely
tier.
felt just like a tiny bit short.
Ford pipeline is in shambles. Dennis James Hamlin.
I mean, he's going A tier. We know that.
It's A tier, but where in A tier? I do think you put him ahead of Chris Buescher.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh yes, he makes it to the Final Four if not for a faulty part.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
was
I
his
feel like he
fault.
was probably the title
There was
favorite.
no
the
evidence that it
entire-
was from the contact.
I'm saying it's from the contact. I don't care.
Joe's trolling.
Joe's trolling, but
I feel like for most
Don't
of the
raise
year,
Ryan Blaney
Hamlin
like an
was.
asshole. Karma, bitch.
I feel like he was though one of the obvious title favorites for the most of the year.
he was.
Yeah.
How many wins though this year? Is it only
3.
2? 3?
3.
What were the 3?
Kansas, Pocono, and Bristol.
Yeah. Okay.
nailed it.
All right. Yeah. No arguments there. Christopher Bell, 2 wins on the year. Bristol Dirt and
Homestead.
where he was running 20th all day and then won.
Yeah. Yeah, they were bad. It was weird. I remember us talking about that. They were like bad that day
Yeah.
to start out. You know, I'd put him behind Buescher.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Like they and again, this is part of it. This is absolutely part of it, and it factors into the grade. They got hot at the right time.
Yep.
Yeah. In my head, I feel like he had a stronger year, but then when I look at it on paper, I'm like, oh, yeah, no,
Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of. You're putting him ahead of like Truex and like kind of these guys in B just because he made the Final Four, and I think that's an impressive feat.
Yeah.
Making the Final Four is almost harder than winning the championship in some respect, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
That's why they hang Final Four banners in NCAA basketball, and not. Well, that's why they hang Final Four banners. So, one guy that's probably not happy to be hanging out Final Four banner is William Byron.
No,
Um,
because he's my A tier.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I hate to admit.
Yeah, he is the best driver all year, start to
This
finish.
was one of those weird years where I feel like champions not going to be the highest ranked driver. Just on balance the entire season.
I agree.
And that's not a slight at Blaney, but it's just William Byron had a fantastic season.
Career year.
Talked about though drivers falling apart at the wrong times. They fell apart in the last 2 races. I know he was leading laps in stage 1 at Phoenix, but that felt more like track position than anything.
Yep.
And having a good pit crew and a good stall on pit lane and all that. They were awful at Martinsville.
Yeah.
If
Where Bell benefited from getting hot at the right time, William Byron did the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
He almost fully reversed it.
You know, you look at the way Phoenix ended, he and Larson were kind of attached to that whole race. Blaney scampered off and did his own thing. And the end of the race, Larson got up on the wheel and ran down Blaney, and Byron couldn't. So.
Yep.
That's how.
Kyle Larson.
That's interesting. I genuinely think that William Byron's still the top, but Larson, for as much as he definitely made problems for himself at different parts of the year, by the end he was making it happen for himself.
Yeah, the first half of this year was extremely messy.
Yeah.
But 4 wins on the season, another Final Four appearance. I keep forgetting they didn't even make They got knocked out in the round of 12 last year, didn't they?
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But they made the owners Final Four, so they paid all the bills still.
Yeah.
Thanks, 2311.
Yeah, I think on balance of the whole year, he's definitely behind Byron. But it's like what we talked about with Buescher and with Bell earlier. It's about getting hot at the right time with the championship format.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I think that's about fair.
This is about, and this is high expectations, but it's Kyle Larson. This is about kind of where I expect him to be.
Oh yeah, he needs to be an A tier every year. If he's not, it's a failure. It's kind of like what we talked about with Chase, right? Like,
yep,
he should be an A.
Yep.
He's not this year for a laundry list of reasons, but
yeah.
Um,
Man, we're gonna make a lot of people mad. Holy moly! I just looked at our B tier. Look at that list. Good night. Oh man, Joe, make sure you save this as like its own thing so I can post it.
okay. The most important one is your 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion Ryan Blaney. Talk about
Whoa.
getting hot at the right time. He did.
Yep.
Woof.
This is tough because, great runs early in the year, great runs late in the year, but a really lean stretch in the middle of it. But Ryan, I feel like, became the driver that we have been expecting him to become for years now.
Yeah,
So.
it was, and we talked, going back to expectations. We did not expect this out of Ryan Blaney, to be fair. Also, I think it's fair to say that he wasn't consistent as the current top 3 in our list.
But
You can't put him ahead of Kyle Larson.
I can.
There's an argument to be made about being ahead of Denny Hamlin, but even I don't know about that.
I can put him ahead of Kyle Larson. Whoops, I can put him ahead of Kyle Larson.
I don't know if I can.
You know why I can put him ahead of Kyle Larson?
I think ahead of Kyle Larson makes this is just the weirdness and why there's so much context at play here. It's not as weird to put him ahead of Larson as it is in front of Hamlin, because I think Hamlin had a much more consistent year than both of those guys.
So I put him ahead of Kyle Larson because at the end of the day, when the chips were down and the year was on the line, who prevailed?
That's true.
It's a fair assessment, and I don't think I can argue against that.
I think if you count or if you consider the last 3 races of the year, Homestead, Larson runs into the pit wall, chasing down Ryan Blaney. Martinsville, Larson can't chase down Ryan Blaney at the end of that race. And Phoenix, Larson can't chase down Ryan Blaney at the end of that race. So it is tough because you can make an argument for both of them to be in the number 2 spot.
Yeah.
But the championship weighs a lot, obviously.
And end of the day, we talk a lot about dirty air and stuff. If that isn't as big of a problem, and also if Ryan Blaney isn't racing Kyle Larson, maybe is racing Ross Chastain for a championship, a 12 car was the best car at Phoenix by a lot, it felt like.
Yeah.
So, driver and car. Remember, we've had a different winner at Phoenix the last 7 Phoenix races, and Ryan Blaney still hasn't won at Phoenix, but he has a championship. So just remember that next year when he doesn't win in the spring, and we go there and he's in the Final Four again. He's still got his win coming here.
And the thing too, and because we've talked about this ad nauseum for his previous wins, is Ryan Blaney's career narrative up until this year has always been he'll dominate races and then they'll find a way to lose them, and the races they win will be in extremely weird ways. It'll be Atlanta where his teammate holds up Larson and he gets by him, or it'll be the Roval where the top 2 guys wreck each other in the final corner, or it'll be a multitude of weird super speedway race finishes. And then this year was the year where they just went out and did it, finally, which is what we've been waiting to see for Ryan Blaney for over half a decade now. And they just went out and they just did it, and they dominated and they won when they needed to.
Yep.
So.
But when Ryan Blaney is really, he's fervently awaiting his 2024 grades at the end of next year, and he doesn't win the championship, sorry, bud, you're back in B. You didn't live up to the expectations. Now I expect it out of you. That's a problem. Obviously, I'm just kidding, but
yeah.
Okay, Kyle Petty. So yeah, those are our rankings. If anyone out there wants to do it themselves, we'll have the link posted.
I know somebody disagrees with some of these.
Oh,
man.
and we want to hear it.
Matt, do you have any final thoughts about them now that you see them all laid out like that? Because I certainly do.
You could make an argument that the top 3 are B tier. Any one of them could be A tier. But maybe Reddick bumped up a spot. I don't know, though. I feel like we got it down pretty well.
Joe?
I'm good.
I think we did Chase Elliott very dirty. I don't think we did Martin Truex Jr. dirty enough.
You're saying we should
No. We've locked it in. We've locked it in.
Oh.
Keep it how it
Yeah.
is.
It's set.
But final thoughts is what I'm giving, and I feel like those two could easily be swapped. Even it would look a lot better. RC and below is nailed. It's perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Now that I look at it too, Bowman at the top of C makes the most sense too.
Oh, it's perfect. RC and below. If anyone has to argue about that, you're gonna get an earful from me, because I tell you what, we didn't miss.
Yeah. I think the thing too that makes the most about Bowman top of C is they had a much easier path to the playoffs, and they crumbled more than Chase Elliott did. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well.
I mean, now we move on to predictions, right, for the next race.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win the Macau Grand Prix? All right.
Who's your Daytona 500 winner, Matt?
Travis Pastrana.
Wow.
He's coming back. It's gonna happen. He was top 10 on the last lap. Tell Almirola wrecked him. It's gonna happen.
No. All honesty, though, Davey's gonna take Jimmy Johnson.
I am taking Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take.
Let's take Alex.
Brad's
Bowman.
gonna do it.
That's who I was gonna take.
Do you want Brad? I'll take Kyle Busch instead.
No, I'll take Eric Jones then.
Okay.
Because I'd probably be like, I think I'd be just as happy, but I might be happier if Eric Jones won it. I think
you would rather Brad Keselowski go Daytona 500 list?
He's got a couple more years.
I don't know about that, man. He got handily beaten by his teammate this year.
When we talked about the Daytona 500, and it made me so sad that we were setting up for such an awesome finish of the two RCR cars versus the two RFK cars, both with champions who have never won a Daytona 500, and then somebody wrecked racing for last and screwed the whole thing up.
Wasn't that great? Yeah, I can't tell you how loud I like crumbled to the floor in that moment, but it was loud.
I never thought I would find myself rooting for Kyle Busch that hard.
And then RCR
was in.
trying to do whatever the hell they were doing on that restart. I still don't understand why you don't just line up together.
I forgot about
that. It's like they forgot that you can line up.
I totally forgot about that. That's my
your bottom split moment of the year.
My bottom split moment is in the 2023 Daytona 500 when RCR tried to do that.
Yeah. What is my bottom split moment of the year? Now I gotta think about this.
Bottom split moment of the year.
Oh, it's Chase Elliott at Charlotte. That's mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Wow.
My road to pro moment was Martin Truex Jr. in the playoffs.
Also, my other bottom split moment is the entire Truck Series finale. So.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Here, I'll save you. Here, I'll help you out. The entire Truck Series.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fox's coverage of the Truck Series is my bottom split moment of the year.
We're just dunking on.
Remember when Matt Crafton just punched out Nick Sanchez and NASCAR was like, "Damn, bro, that sucks. Good luck with that."
They do not care. They just don't care about the Truck Series. It's great. Like, even NASCAR doesn't care. Like, so when people say, "Oh man, you should like watch the Truck Series because it's like it's all these young drivers and they're gonna be doing great things someday," and when the sanctioning body doesn't care, we got a problem.
Oh yeah.
So, rough. That's the show for the year. Wow. Look at that tier maker. Got it over there.
We really did that. We really made that tier maker.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
I already have ideas for a thumbnail.
Are appropriately ranked.
We'll be back end of January.
We suck.
Early February. We're gonna try not to be as bad next year.
It's such a limp fart of a way to end this episode.
I think I took it out of Joe when I argued with him about Brad.
Yeah, dude, I just at that point I was just like, all right, I'm tired. Been up since like 5:30 this morning. It is.
Let's keep going.
I'm good.
Anything else we want to talk about?
Time to do the Truck Series rankings. Let's go.
This show is gonna get edited tomorrow.
Where are we putting Caden Honeycutt?
I don't know.
What the hell is Matt DiBenedetto doing next year?
Probably real
God.
estate.
He's gonna start an energy drink company.
It's probably gonna move in next door to me.
Gonna be the first openly Christian real estate agent. It's not a joke at being Christian. It's a joke at Matt DiBenedetto.
North Wilkesboro is getting repaved.
It has been repaved.
Speaking of Brad Keselowski, the number 6 team won the most valuable pit crew award.
Yeah.
There's going to be a NASCAR crossover series, apparently. That got leaked.
Someone's
Kevin
getting
Harvick-
fired. Oh my
Someone's getting
god.
fired.
Someone is fired. Someone's in the gulag right now.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick's not ruling out running Xfinity or Truck Series races, which is pretty gnarly.
Dale Jr. just leaked, officially that Ty Dillon's going to Colleague on the download last week, even though it hasn't been
I saw
announced. And they just
I think everyone knows it. Shane Van Gisy wants to run full time in Cup in 2025.
wow, crazy. Who would have thought?
I'm down to clown. Yeah.
Joe, why can't you just be excited?
I am excited.
Daytona 500 is in 96 days.
Don't forget to use your NASCAR fan rewards points.
Use
I
your
forgot to
NASCAR
do all my
fan
quiz
reward.
questions.
Dude, you're never
I
gonna
do
get
it
that
now.
pair of socks.
Yeah.
I might
God.
just use some of my leftover points to get Matt the pair of socks.
You can
Wait,
hey,
hang
you
on.
can do it right now. You can vote for the most popular driver award.
Do they have a quiz question today?
No,
It's voting for the most popular driver award.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
If you
doing it
don't
right
vote
now.
for the most popular
Everyone go
driver,
vote
you
for
don't get
Parker
any points.
Kligerman. He's never gonna win it. Josh Berry is gonna win most popular driver without a doubt. But
in Xfinity.
yeah.
Vote most popular driver. All right. Who am I voting
That should be
for?
Stone Cold Custard.
I
I'm gonna
agree.
vote for my favorite driver, Alex Bowman.
Can you
Can you not? You said Chase Elliott got booed at Martinsville. What if he doesn't win most popular driver?
That'd be
There's
really
been
fun.
talk about it, man. Kyle Larson could sneak himself one here.
That'd be amazing because, who's the last person not to be part of a NASCAR racing family to win most popular driver?
Let's see.
We count Bill Elliott, and he was most popular driver for a long time.
Let's look.
Jeff Gordon maybe.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's how he
Chase
got.
Elliott
Yeah,
does
David
in your-
Pearson. Honestly, the only one back in
Yeah.
'79.
Yeah.
Because after that, it's Allison for 4 years, Elliott, Darrell Waltrip for a couple of years, Elliott again, Senior, Elliott, Junior, and now Chase.
Can we
Oh my gosh.
Can we I don't know. I mean, I guess everyone's kind of in a racing family. It feels like I don't know what Blaney'd be like. Oh yeah, it's a racing family. I don't know if it counts as much because it's not like a NASCAR racing family.
Yeah, but you say that, but it's not like every single driver is part of a racing
No, I know.
historic racing family.
Yeah, I know.
Like if
Kyle Larson would.
if Justin Haley goes out and wins, he's not like like
Could you imagine?
Justin
Well, he's
Haley.
AJ Allmendinger's son, so he's a family driver.
Maybe that's why AJ's not in the Cup Series next year.
He's got a father, Justin Haley.
He's got to pay child support.
Pay child support to Rick Ware Racing.
Dude, I'm still trying to figure out how Narain Karthikeyan won most popular driver in the Truck Series in 2010.
What's the fucking dude?
He ran
Was-
9
wait.
races.
Where was he from?
India.
He's Indian.
Okay.
So maybe they just
That's-
put out
that
an
would
APB
be-
in India. It is the second most populated country in the world.
That would probably be it because I don't think.
They just put out an APB. They were like, please vote for our guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in F1 that year too, or was that 2012?
I wonder who's going to win the
let's see.
Truck
Ozzy
Series
Osbourne.
most popular driver. Haley Deegan, probably.
Haley Deegan.
She's won it the last 2 years, so.
All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
sad.
Nelson PK Jr. won it in 2012. Let's find some weird Xfinity drivers who have won most popular driver. Obviously Danica in 2012. Okay, Carl Edwards cannot be 2007's most popular Xfinity Series driver.
Nope, but he is. He is.
Oh man.
Come on.
In 2010, Narain Karthikeyan ran that Super League formula, which was like the soccer team sponsored cars.
That's probably why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kenny Wallace won it in 06. Oh my gosh. Buckshot in 98. Hell yeah.
What the hell, man?
That's our show, folks. That's our
Yeah.
year.
Yes, it is. We really did that.
We can't thank you
did.
enough for watching this year, for listening, however you've supported us. We hope that you return next year. Maybe we'll have a special at some point this off season. Maybe when NASCAR gets the new media rights deal and they announce it, we'll talk about it. Maybe that's what we'll do, because obviously we're a big media rights podcast.
All the
We were
time.
all about media rights, man.
Davey, do you got your ear to the ground? You got any updates for us on that?
Not that I have seen, no.
Okay.
I don't know a damn thing.
Guys, who should I vote for Truck Series most popular driver?
Ben Rhodes.
Chris
Oh
Wright.
my god. Lawless Allen is literally just Tommy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm voting for him. Yeah. I mean, his name is Lawless.
Oh my
Right, anyway.
god.
Yeah, podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast was good. Man, we are just
That's fun.
We don't want to say goodbye,
Listen.
guys.
we had a fun
Waffling.
it was a fun show.
It
I love
was.
doing the driver grades.
It's fun. Mhm.
If you've listened this far,
Wow.
get a life, dude. What the hell are you doing?
Good luck on your exams and your tests if you're listening to us while you're studying.
Yeah.
Also, there will probably be content in a couple weeks' time when me and a lot of friends of the show are doing our 6-hour endurance race in Jacksonville. That'll be fun. I'll be posting stuff on Twitter probably from the Fake Racers podcast. Fake Racers podcast stickers will be out and about. So yeah, it'll be a good time. Joe, what you doing, buddy?
I'm pointing.
This is
I'm just pointing.
Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys.
Thank you, man.
Smash that like button. I'm trying to get this show over with because I have to pee really bad.
We appreciate you guys at home. Like, comment, subscribe, follow at Fake Racers, follow at Johto Network on all your favorite.
Hit the notification bell.
Hit the notification bell. Click the like button. Again, anything you can do to help support us, we appreciate you so much. We hope you have a wonderful off season, happy holidays, a Merry Thanksgiving, a wondrous New Year, and we will see you the week at the latest. We will see you the week after the Rolex 24 right here on JTN2 on the Fake Racers podcast.
come on,
And
boys. Good year. Woo!